about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So we got a lot to get to today, but there's a lot of back and forth on Elon Musk and what he's doing with Doge. And a lot of people that are starting to hear what our tax dollars have been going for are starting to get kind of grumpy. And I'm American first, and I don't want our democracy falling apart because Americans don't feel they're getting represented or they feel that their tax dollars are being defrauded. And the whole concept of taxes, the reason why we have taxes, now, not that I'm a big fan of them, but this is why we have them, is because you used to be a farmer or a fisherman or a mother or a, sanitation worker, and there were things that needed to be done in that community. There needed to be security. There needed to be schools. There needed to be, somebody fixing the roads. And so you can't do it all. So you pay taxes to ensure that those things get done. The tithe that happened in biblical times was, somebody had to ensure that the church or the temple or whoever had the ability to have a roof over its head, water, whatever. Yeah, and so you would pay a tithe into ensuring that that would be there for the community. So taxes are all about you pay so things that you can't do get done. You do your job, you pay into this fund, and that fund is supposed to be appropriately spent to make sure what needs to get done gets done. Potholes are fixed, roads are made, security, law enforcement, etc. And so that's the concept. And it's not a perfect concept, but that's kind of what's been how things have been done for centuries. Where things go wrong is when the money isn't being used on what it's supposed to be. So when somebody does see a pothole, and I'll see this online in modern day, people are like, wait a second, where are my tax dollars going? How come my kids aren't proficient in reading and math? What's going on with the border? What's going on with the homeless crisis? I thought we're spending this money to go to X, Y, and Z. And so the Department of Government Efficiency was created by Trump. Elon Musk appointed to that role. It ends July 4th. It's a very temporary role. It's supposed to be closed down by July 4th. It isn't supposed to be ongoing because his job is to see where the money isn't being efficient, make the recommendations. You don't need to have a lifelong position for that. You could do an audit, see where there's fraud, where there's misspending, where more spending needs to be done. What is lacking? Is the money being spent on salaries when it really should be going to research, or it should really be going to, improving the VA, whatever. And so it's an audit. The audit is supposed to be done by July 4th. We are hearing bits and pieces of that audit, and it's worrying a lot of taxpayers. Some saying, really, we're spending our money on this. Other taxpayers going, wait a second, he's going to cut this. And so people are starting to get a little nervous. So is the answer where taxpayers get to, one, see more transparency, and two, get to maybe vote on where their money goes? Now, we never really had to do this if you had a government that was spending the money properly. If you have a government you trust, there's not this controversy. They're like, look, okay, this is the money going to schools, going to law enforcement, going to firefighters, going to us making sure we have water in the reservoirs, going to, clean streets, sanitation. This is where the money's supposed to be going. So here it is. You're going to take it out of my paycheck, even if it's not by choice, but this is where the money's going. And then during our elections, we vote for representatives to make sure those tax dollars are going where they're going, but that hasn't been happening. Apparently, they're big bills. They're not quick line item, singular line items where everybody knows, okay, this money's going to go to this money's going to go to this. And instead, it's like legalizing marijuana. I voted to legalize marijuana for a variety of reasons. And one carrot they dangled in my neck of the woods was this is going to go to the schools. The schools don't have enough funding. And the money off of marijuana is going to help the kids. That's not why I voted for it. I voted for it so we could study it, so we could free up police, so we could have something that we could possibly use for pain, because the pharmaceutical companies and doctors were getting attacked over the fentanyl crisis, which we're learning now wasn't really their fault the whole time. And so I'm hearing from teachers, where's the money? So the more taxpayers are saying, wait a second, you promised that this is where the money's going to go, then the less trust we have. And so should we devise a system where we actually say, look, this is where we want the money to go? And I understand some people say, I don't want it to go on the roads. I can do my own road. Or I mean, there's going to be some things that are constant and absolute, where money's going to law enforcement, money's going to X, Y, Z, Medicare, except Social Security. But a lot of the additional money, because the question everybody's asking is, where did all this extra money go to these other countries and to go for these other things? And why are people's salaries so large? I mean, Fauci, a $400,000 plus year of salary. It's a lot of money. Taxpayers want to know, why is that, why is it that high? And maybe we do need more transparency. And I get, if you're going to hire a doctor in one of the highest levels of the government, for them to leave their private practice, yeah, they're gonna need a decent salary. But when you see the glut and the pork, people are starting to distrust the government. And Doge has been revealing some things, and it's also drawn up a lot of questions as to what role Musk will have and if it will extend beyond July 4th. But maybe we do need to let taxpayers have more of a choice, more transparency, and say, look, the additional money I want going to help the homeless or help the veterans. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So 3 people who have a very serious muscle-destroying disease were able to stand and walk more easily with this procedure that was done. And this is groundbreaking. Researchers reported yesterday what they called the first evidence that a spinal stimulating implant that's already being tested for paralysis may also aid in other neurodegenerative diseases such as spinal muscle atrophy. If it could restore some of the function, even if it's temporary, that could be amazing in terms of quality of life and in terms of restoring and trying to preserve function. According to Marco Capelgrosso, assistant professor at the University of Pittsburgh, it should say Dr. Marco, who led the research, said that the individuals were not expecting an improvement, but they are getting better and better. So spinal muscle atrophy is a genetic disease. According to AP News, it gradually destroys motor neurons, nerve cells in the spinal cord that controls muscles. These there's multiple different neurodegenerative disorder, but spinal muscle atrophy basically is simply the spinal cord is controlling the muscles. As you know, the spinal cord controls most of our, all of our organs, but most of them, I should say. And if the impulses don't get to the muscles start to atrophy. When the muscles atrophy, they become more weak. So the muscles start to waste away. Lungs, legs, hips, shoulders, and then it could also affect the lungs. It could affect the ability for you to swallow. There is no cure. But if you can look at the human body as a machine, the heart like a pump, the nervous system like electrical wires, that's what a lot of researchers do. Well, sometimes you can get your battery started by jumping your car. And we've learned that in the human body, there's a lot we could do with electricity. We could jumpstart the heart with a defibrillator machine. We can stimulate the spinal cord, stimulate muscles, stimulate the brain with electroconvulsive therapy. And so they go, well, why not? Let's take a look at what happens with paralyzed individuals. And so Capelgrosso's team tested it. And what it would do is zap circuits of dormant nerves downstream of the injury to activate the muscles. And so they implanted electrodes over the lower spinal cord of 3 adults with this spinal muscular atrophy, tested their muscle strength, fatigue, range of motion, changes in gait, walking distance, while the device was firing and while it wasn't. Now, it didn't necessarily restore normal movement. We're not there yet. But a few hours of it saw improvements pretty quickly in muscle strength and function. And so all 3 participants significantly increased how far they could walk in 6 minutes. And one who initially couldn't stand from a kneeling position could by the study's end. They also got less fatigued and they could walk longer. So this is pretty cool. Neuroscientist Susan Harkema, who led pioneering studies for stimulation of spinal cord injuries while working at the University of Louisville, cautioned, remember, the study is small. It's a short study, but it did have an important proof of concept. That important proof of concept means that the concept of stimulating muscles, having a small study showing this, can suggest that we need to look at this more. I wouldn't mind tax dollars going to looking at this more. But our spinal circuitry is very, very sophisticated, Harkema says, and I agree. And, I don't want people at home saying, all right, Grandma, let's hook you up. Don't be doing that. It's dangerous. But I love the idea that we had something positive in the life of individuals who are basically told they're going to waste away. And there's a lot of neurodegenerative disorders, Lou Gehrig's disease, etc. There's Creutzfeldt-Jakob. These are diseases that can completely destroy your ability to walk, move, breathe. and your brain is functioning well, and you're alive, and you're as youthful as you've ever thought you were, but the body starts to fail. And it's horrible for patients to go through. So it would be nice to see what we could do. All right, what's on the bird flu front? So apparently bird flu was found in some Nevada dairy cattle. 6 dairy herds in Nevada have tested positive for a newer variant of the H5N1 bird flu virus. As you know, bird flu is very, very deadly to birds. When it is found in chicken flocks and other sorts of poultry that we, consume, they have to cull those birds to minimize spread. Crossover has happened where this bird flu has crossed over to cattle and other animals. So we are just a few mutations away from something like this being able to spread among humans. Does bird flu affect humans? Yes, it can. We have had human cases of bird flu. Thank God the majority of them were very mild, but we did have one person die. A teenager was hospitalized with it. An older person with multiple medical issues died from bird flu. So we for now believe that people who do get bird flu are those who are in close contact with animals who have it. But it's just a mutation or two away from this sort of virus being able to go from human to human. And that's why public officials are getting nervous. And we don't want another COVID with H5N1. So scientists are looking at this strain, and they say, according to CNN Health, that these infections have a different type of virus mark on inflection point, and that the strain is not the same one that's been circulated in other dairy herds. The other dairy herds are B3.13. The newer version is D1.1. I shouldn't say dot. We could say point. So D1.1 is a different version. It has previously only been detected in birds and in people who have had contact with infected birds. But this is the first time that this particular version has been found in dairy cattle. The other one, the B3.13, has been known to affect dairy herds. So they believe that these cows caught this newer version from wild birds instead of getting it from other infected herd. They say this is the second known instance of a type of avian flu being introduced into cattle herds by birds, and suggest the virus could be seeding itself into herds through introductions from wild birds, which are ubiquitous. Now, somebody could say, what the hell does all this mean, Dr. Daliah? So when you have a bird flu, you kind of just want it to stay among the birds, and you want it to hopefully mutate and die out, as happens in nature, and hopefully new birds don't get the virus anymore and it goes off into the sunset. But the virus is flipping smart. And we've seen the other bird flu, the B3.13, be able to mutate and affect cattle. That's a big jump from a bird to a mammal. That's a huge jump. We were hoping that that sort of zoonotic jump from species was a one-off, and we could deal with that one strain. The fact that we have a whole nother strain in cattle that aren't associated with the other cattle that could have been infected, that means this is a virus that doesn't have issues mutating to an ability to cross species. The fact that this has happened now at least twice means we are dealing with one hell of a son of a gun. And that means it has that power to then cross into the human species. It could also become more endemic in birds in North America, rather than this coming from Asian countries where this is, now do we have endemic born clades or strains of this virus? And, doctors are saying, Dr. Luis Moncla, of pathobiologist at the University of Pennsylvania, says, in my opinion, it is endemic. Endemic meaning something that arises here within your country. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture classifies H5N1 as a foreign animal disease, meaning we got this from out of the country, or the animals left that country and came here. Now, we may be producing our own. I understand made in America is a big, big, huge goal of ours, but we don't want to be making these. So I don't want to spread the panic button, but if you remember, 2014, the H5N8 bird flu viruses from Europe arrived in North America, destroyed 50 million commercially farmed birds. It was not good. And so we do not want, in fact, they're saying this strain, this D1.1, was the one behind the severe infections. So this could be getting stronger. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877 Doc Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So some of you listen to the show live, some of you listen delayed. There might have been a little issue with the live feed on satellite, and from what I understand, that's gotten fixed. We just spoke about the bird flu and a new strain found in Nevada cattle. We will give you guys updates later on about that. But for those of you who want to listen to that segment, it should be on our podcast. If at all you miss any sort of the show, you could always go to YouTube, which we do recommend you go to. That should have every show. Spreaker, I believe all of them. Apple, Google Podcasts, iHeart, etc. And so, it's we're also having a little bit of issue with our Facebook Live. So hopefully you guys are getting the feeds. We'll, as we get breaking news, also give that to you as well. So really quickly here, I just want to say something because I'm seeing this in relationships, I'm seeing this in medicine, and I'm seeing this in politics. And I think it's something we need to talk about. The concept of 100%, I think, has gone the wrong way, 100%. Now, we use these phrases, I gave it 100%. I am in 100%. What you said, you're right, 100%. And so we look at 100% as the benchmark, that's our goal. We should always be at 100%. And so what ends up happening is you're in a relationship, or you're going to the doctor and you're talking about a treatment plan, or you're looking at a politician and you're like, no. I'm not settling. I'm not settling for anything less than 100%. And I'm noticing people are struggling. And I've had this talk with you many times from a relationship standpoint. Okay, the biggest reason why these couples are falling apart, and divorce rates are happening is because people kind of don't have a very realistic image of what another person is supposed to be like and what a relationship is supposed to be like. And where you're never going to have somebody who is 100% perfect. Yeah. I understand you have Jimmy Garoppolo, and he looks like a Italian god. He's exquisite. I am sure there are some things that might lead to some incompatibilities. I can't imagine it. He looks as close to 100% perfection to me. But I am sure that in a relationship with anybody, there can be imperfections. And as I've said, as it pertains to relationships, your job is to understand that at best, you might only get 80%. And you have to hope that that 20% that isn't your ideal is something you could live with. Is part of that 20%, they leave the seat up, or they always leave the seat down, or, they don't clean up a lot, or the mother-in-law is always calling and you have the mother-in-law in your life, or are they cheating? Are they flirtatious? That you need to decide what that is and if it's livable. If you're like, you know what, the 20% is, they're really into sports, or I might not like their politics, or I might, but we get along with everything else, that might work. But if that 20% is they're always cheating, they're always flirting, they're always, checking out other women or men or whatever, or they're always, gambling, or they're always, if you're like, this isn't sustainable, okay, well, then you make that decision. But you're never going to find somebody that's 100%. Same thing with your medical care. All right. People will go to the doctor saying, I want to be cured. Now, curing is a goal. Yes, I would love for all of us to be cured. And we have been able to cure things. But what people don't understand is your cure might not necessarily mean 100%. So you have I thought I had breast cancer. I had something that, thank God, was benign, but because it was a growth and there was blood, it was something that had to be biopsied and removed. Well, thank God that surgery cured that, but, it hurts still. And so, you're going to, when you do go through something medical, not always get that 100%. You might get knee surgery and go, wow, but I still have some pain. A good medical provider will tell you, look, this might be your new baseline, and have realistic expectations. So we see this in politics. And, you're hearing Speaker Johnson, and you hear this from both sides of the aisle, going, look, we can't always shoot for perfection. If we have politicians that only want the perfect bill, nothing's going to get passed. But people don't want to be imperfect. They don't want to do anything halfway. They don't want to do anything subpar. And so we might need to rethink how we look at this 100%. We look at the flu shot. We're seeing a big surge in flu. And people are already complaining that the flu shot sucked. The flu shot did not suck, okay? Flu shots wax and wane in their efficacy. And the reason why that happens is because the CDC has to decide by February, the February before flu season, what strains they are going to use for the flu shot. Well, that's before the Southern Hemisphere flu season. So they're taking their best guess. Then they have to develop it. They have to test it. They have to mass produce it, and they have to distribute it by August, September, which is why there's that 6-month leeway and prep period. And so you'll notice the flu shots, the efficacy could be anywhere from 13% to 60%. And if we have a year where that flu shot is 60% efficacious in preventing the flu or minimizing the flu, that's a good year. Well, people complain. They go, Dr. Daliah, that's a part that should not be tolerated. We need to go for 100%. Well, if we're trying to go for 100%, then we need to start looking at mRNA technology. We need to start looking at more expensive technology. We have to start going into, and people did not like the idea of the COVID shot being an mRNA technology. They didn't want DNA or mRNA. Basically, how the COVID vaccine worked, fascinating technology. But basically, we introduced, it had to be in a liposome package so the body wouldn't destroy it. We had to introduce some mRNA, which had genetic instructions. It went into our cells because then our cells had to learn to make spike proteins, exhibit those so our immune system could learn it. It was a fascinating science. It's been around for a while. The COVID vaccine was new. A lot of people didn't trust it. They were concerned about side effects, and that's understandable. With any sort of new vaccine, that would happen. But if you're telling me you are upset that the flu shot at its best year is 60% efficacious, and this year, who knows what efficacy it's at, you got to understand we're doing older school technology with the flu shot. What we're doing is we're making a killed vaccine. We're taking a strain. We're taking basically a flu virus killing it and activating it and trying to use its shell to stimulate a response. And those have worked really well. Our killed vaccines have done amazing, or inactivated, we call them, like our polio and our tetanus. We don't use the live attenuated polio anymore in America, but we use, for our tetanus and for a lot of things. We use the live attenuated version for our measles, mumps, and rubella, for our varicella, where we take a virus and we weaken it so that it really can't hurt us, but it has the same shape so that the body could recognize it. The vaccine science is fascinating. In fact, homeopathy is very similar in terms of we're going to fight fire with fire, and we're going to teach your body to figure out how to fight things or to learn to live with them. And it's a fascinating science, but it's not 100%. These medications are not 100%. People are upset that they're taking Ozempic and not losing weight. It's not 100%. And so I love the idea that somebody is saying they're giving it their all. They're giving it 110%. Are you really? Did you sleep? Did you catch up on, did you on your Squid Game episodes? Did you didn't give it 110% because you didn't spend 24/7, 365 days a year doing something. So we say it a lot, but we don't tell our minds, look, all right, it's going to be 80% maybe. And you don't want to necessarily say, look, I'm going to give it 80%, maybe a 72%. But our expectations might have to change because people are getting very, very frustrated. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So when I interview a patient and get their history and I ask them about their diet and their exercise, a fewer percentage of them have been saying they're doing this, but still a good number do it. And when I ask them, how their diet's been, they go, oh, I'm good. I juice. Oh, you juice. Okay. How's your diet? Oh, I'm a juicer. Okay. I guess that's the thing. You could be a juice, not a Jew. You could be Jewish, but no, not juice. They're juicers. Okay. Like making juice out of food. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll have some au jus with my steak. You want a Jew? No. Au jus. Forget it. Just forget it. So, okay, let's go back to juicing. So juicing is where you take your fruits and your vegetables, maybe throw in your steak, and you make a puree out of it. And I've been a fan of juicing. I don't juice. For me, I'll just take the celery stick. I don't like to drink things. I'm not a big drinker. I mean, I'll drink some water, but it's hard enough to eat the vegetables, let alone let it kind of swish around in my mouth. So for me, I'm like, just give me the vegetables that are going in the blender. I'll just eat them. They're in me. They're good. But for those of you go and look, I want to keep my appetite down. I want vegetables. I want to get more vegetables in your juice. I haven't been opposed to that. I've been opposed to it if there's a lot of sugar and crap in it. You know, I understand you could buy vegetable juices over the counter, but what sort of preservatives are in there? We need to know. Well, everybody says it's healthier. Juicing is healthier. Well, we have a study that is saying if you're thinking about juicing, or if life gives you lemons, you might want to juice them. You might not want to. So New York Post has a great article on this, where apparently the study says, wait a second, this could affect your gut, your metabolism, and immunity. So maybe, pump the brakes. This study has found that juicing has become very popular. And study author Dr. Melinda Ring, director of the Osher Center for Integrative Health at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine, and is a Northwestern medicine physician, says most people think of juicing as a healthy cleanse. But this study offers a reality check. They looked at healthy adults who drank only juice. Others consumed juice with whole foods. And a third group ate whole plant-based foods. So interesting groups. The researchers analyzed bacterial changes via saliva, cheek swabs, stool samples before, during, and after the experimentation. Excuse me, now I got the hiccups. The juice-only group, oh, please, I hope I don't have the hiccups. Sorry, guys, once I get the hiccups, the whole segment gets hiccups, so just cut me some slack. Yeah, maybe some juice can help me with that. So the juice-only group had the most significant increase in bacteria linked to inflammation and gut permeability, while the juice plus the food group had less severe bacterial changes. Those who ate the whole food, the actual foods, saw more beneficial microbial shifts, leading the researchers to suggest that juicing without the fiber may disrupt the gut microbiome. Your gut microbiome is something we've been studying really, really generously over the last couple decades to see what we eat, if we are what we eat, and if what we eat could be affecting our brains, our dementia, our health, and the gut microbiome could tell us that. So if you eat a lot of sugar and drink a lot of alcohol, your gut microbiome is going to be much different than somebody who eats a lot of vegetables. But even though there's microscopic fiber when you juice and blend and crush, there's something to eating the celery stick. There's something to eating foods in their whole form. And when I heard about the study, to me, it made absolute sense that maybe juicing isn't the healthiest way to consume your foods, because your body back in caveman days they didn't have blenders. You would grab the apple. You would grab the fish. You would get the zebra. You would grab the nuts. And so pureeing it down might not necessarily give the body what it needs. It might need that work, with the foods. It might need to. And maybe when people are juicing, they're adding things that affect the acidity or affect I'm not sure. But it starts to make you rethink. If you're trying to get the vegetables in and the fiber in, you might need to do it whole. So they believe that the juicing is stripping away the fiber, and fiber feeds healthy gut bacteria. So that would make sense. You need that to facilitate smooth and regular bowel movements, help control your blood sugar, lower cholesterol, and lessen the risk of heart disease and stroke. And what happens when you reduce your fiber? Well, you could affect your bowels, your bowel health, you could affect your metabolism, and affect your immunity. A lot of you guys are struggling to lose weight on these weight loss drugs. And the first thing I ask is, how constipated are you? If you're not pooping, you're not going to lose weight that well. Your metabolism does better when you end up having your cycles with your bowel movements. Same thing, I'm noticing that with periods. A lot of women that don't get regular periods struggle with weight. You might need that cycle. And so if you haven't pottied in the last 3-4 days because you took an Ozempic shot and you're like, I don't think I'm losing weight. It's not so much the weight of the bowel. It's your metabolism is going to slow. Your metabolism needs regular bowels. So here's the thing. All right, I am still not against juicing. If that's how you get your vegetables in, go for it. I mean, if you can't stand eating vegetables, or if you think the long piece of celery affects your gut health, and if you do it by juicing, you get the vegetables in, I just want you to get vegetables in your body. And if your choice is vegetable juicing or a candy bar, do the vegetable juicing. Okay, let's not mess around. But if you can eat the salad and you can eat, in fact, they found that, is it lycopene? There's a chemical, there's a nutrient in your salads and vegetables that help prevent grain. Where if you're very good with your vegetable diet, oftentimes you gray slower because the vegetables you're eating, especially raw. So, look, I just want you to eat a better diet, and like, for example, some people say, look, I can't eat celery, but if I put a little cream cheese on it or peanut butter, I could get it down. I don't mind. But if you're completely eating a jar full of peanut butter every week to get some celery down, that's a problem. But, I keep hearing people saying, well, I'm going to do a cleanse. For the new year, I'm doing a cleanse. I didn't lose weight in January, so for February, I'm going to do a cleanse. And there's apparently all these cleanses online where you just eat lemon juice, or you do apple cider vinegar, or you starve, or you what are you cleansing? The dishes? I get cleanses in the figurative sense, but I think a lot of people think it's literal. They're really cleansing their liver. If you want to cleanse your liver, eat well and don't put crap into your body. Eat a balanced diet. That'll cleanse your liver, drinking water. But going through these, I'm just going to starve myself and only have some lemons. I understand that some people reported they felt better and they lost some weight, but long term, you're not really cleansing. If you want to cleanse your kidneys of toxins, you hydrate and you avoid the toxins. Same thing with the liver. So, get this idea that you're cleansing, but if you're trying to introduce healthier foods by juice, I get it, but if you could eat them raw and cleaned, that's better. According to this study, 1-877 Dr. Daliah, don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.